Welcome back to Outside Views, where today we're asking a simple but loaded question. What on earth are they up to? And that's not me talking. That's the Chinese embassy in London reacting to British politicians' increasingly tense rhetoric on China. And it's not just words anymore. It's about blast furnaces, billion-pound investments, and Britain's future relationship with the world's second largest economy. But let's dig in. So why is China suddenly in the crosshairs of every major UK political party? The spark was Scunthorpe, specifically the near shutdown of the British steel plant. And why? Because it's owned by Jingye, a Chinese company. And it nearly turned off the UK's only blast furnaces, triggering an emergency government takeover and the first weekend recall of Parliament since the 1980s. And suddenly, everyone wanted to know, why is one of the UK's most critical industries in foreign hands? And more importantly, Chinese hands. Cue the political earthquake. And let's start with Labour. James Murray, a finance minister, says Labour's China policy is about cooperation where possible, competition where necessary, and scrutiny at the highest levels. And the translation is, they want Chinese investment, but with guardrails. China is, after all, the UK's fourth biggest trading partner. But earlier last week, Business Secretary Jonathan Reynolds said he wouldn't personally bring a Chinese firm into the steel sector. And then he reversed course and said, well, maybe, but we would look at them differently. So what is Labour's policy? Apparently, it depends on which day you ask. And the Conservatives, on the other hand, are going full hawk. Kami Badenoch says Labour's policy lurches from one place to another. She says the Conservatives removed Huawei from national infrastructure, and that proves they take national interests seriously. And she's not wrong about Huawei. But when asked whether the Tories would ban other Chinese firms from investing in infrastructure, Badenoch declined to give a clear answer. So, their policy? Well, tough talk, but vague on details. But let's jump to the Lib Dems. Ed Davey has gone full Cold War. He accused Jingye of potentially acting on Beijing's orders when threatening to shut down British steel. He said it's in China's interest to kill off UK steel production. And he is very clear. His party wants no Chinese involvement in the UK steel sector. Period. And in a rare twist, Reform UK and the Lib Dems actually agree. Nigel Farage said the idea of another Chinese company owning British steel is, quote, truly dreadful. He argued there's no such thing as a private company in China. They all answer to the Communist Party. And that's a message Reform UK is hammering home. For once, the populists and the centrists are on the same page. The Greens are also anti-China when it comes to critical infrastructure. Adrian Ramsay said ownership of vital sectors like energy, water and transport should stay in public hands. And he said Chinese firms should not own UK nuclear or digital assets. And he even called for tariffs on Chinese steel. Because in his words, they are produced under weaker labor and environmental conditions. And Plaid Cymru? Quite but clear. They said Chinese ownership of critical infrastructure poses risks, especially in times of geopolitical turmoil. They want ownership kept within UK or Welsh governments. And the SNP? Silence. They've made no public statement. So we can only speculate where they stand. Well, maybe somewhere in the middle. Maybe they are still drafting a press release. But where does all of this leave us? With a spectrum ranging from cautious engagement to outright rejection. And Labour says, let's scrutinise and cooperate where possible. Tories say, no critical assets in foreign hands. Maybe. And the Lib Dems say, absolutely not. And Reform UK says, hell no. And the Greens say, nationalise everything. And Plaid says, No thanks, we'll take it from here. And SNP says, and meanwhile the Chinese embassy is furious, calling MPs arrogant and ignorant and asking, quote, what on earth are they up to? Well, it's a fair question, because in a world where China's economic muscle is growing, the UK is still figuring out where it stands. Between economic reality and national security, between cheap solar panels and critical data centers, between global trade and geopolitical chess. Or cards, no, yeah. But one thing's certain, the furnace of Scunthorpe has reignited something much bigger. A new debate over who controls the levers of power in Britain's economy. And whether it's finally time to draw some red lines, economic, strategic, and political. So thanks for watching, and if you found this episode useful, like, subscribe, and hit that bell. And this is Outside Views, connecting global headlines to what really matters. See you next time, and the next video is already right here in the end screen.